INFPs are one of the most idealistic and romantic of the 16 personality types, but most people don't know how they truly express love. In this video, we're going to break down all of the different love languages and how INFPs like to receive and give them. So yeah, INFPs, they're deeply idealistic and emotionally intuitive. INFPs have very high emotional intelligence. They're very good at being able to express their emotions and understand and introspect their emotions. And they value authenticity over grand displays, right? They're an intuitive personality type. They care about deeper meanings, hidden meanings, understanding context, emotional context, intuitive context, as opposed to these big displays of affection. They love through that meaning. They're able to express their love and receive love through there, not necessarily through superficiality or shallowness. They need to feel understood, not just appreciated. It's not just about love bombing. It's about truly knowing and understanding an INFP. So first we have quality time. How does an INFP use quality time? Do they like to give it? Do they like to receive it? INFPs do care about quality time. It's one of the most important love languages to them. Presence matters more than activities for INFPs. They don't necessarily have to be doing something crazy. They don't have to have some completely unforgettable experience, although that does help. INFPs do like the simple things as well, whether it's just hanging out in your car, at the mall, in a supermarket. It doesn't really even matter, going on a walk. It can be a lot of different things because it's more about the connection. Intuitive personality types care more about what's really happening. It's not necessarily about what's in front of them. It's what's really going on. So that's the deeper meaning part of it. What is this metaphysical relationship really like? What are the emotional stakes going on right now? How do these people really feel about each other? Do I really like this person? Do they like me? Why are we here? Does it show that they'll hang out with me anywhere? Does it show this or that? So they're always reading into these things, the emotional stakes, the deeper meanings. They're not just gonna only want to spend time with someone if they're, always dressed up to the nines, always going to these big expensive locations. Some INFPs may be more focused on that side of their mind, but in general, INFPs care more about what's really going on. And so your presence matters more than just what activity you guys are doing. They prefer those quiet, intimate moments over crowded plans. They don't need to go to some big event or some big concert. Like I said, it doesn't necessarily hurt. You want to have those fun, big experiences sometimes to create those bonds, create those memories. INFPs, they are a sensing child personality type, and I won't go too into what that means, but for INFPs, they like to have some bonded experience, some shared history, some past before taking the next step, before committing. They like to feel like they have some level of experience with you to be comfortable. So experiences are definitely a plus when it comes to gaining an INFP's trust. But they don't mind quiet experiences, deep, long talks, being able to have those more intimate moments as opposed to necessarily always going to this big club or this big party and having all these other people there. They're not going to necessarily need that. They like those intimate moments where they can express their emotions and understand where you're coming from. Those deep conversations are really where it's at because it's all about that emotional bonding with their introverted feeling hero. They like to be able to express their feelings and see if people are going to understand them, see if people are going to respect their feelings and respect their comfort zone and their experience and who they are, right? INFPs are all about who they are. Who am I with introverted sensing? And what do I identify with introverted feeling? What do I relate to? What do I feel like? What's my past? Who am I? Where do I come from? And their identity is very important to INFPs. So having someone actually understand, respect, and get their identity and understand who they truly are, that deeper meaning is what's really going to seal the deal. And yeah, feeling wanted also strengthens trust. So like I said, having those built experiences is a primary importance because they have their sensing function in an optimistic slot, which just means they like to feel some level of history before necessarily committing long term. But having somebody who's consistently wanting them, consistently choosing them over other people, wanting to share experiences, that lets them know that there's a future in that relationship and that they're going to want further quality time and further good experiences with them, and not just right now, but in the future as well. So yeah, there's a lot of different things when it comes to quality time. Also, words of affirmation. How do INFPs like to give and receive this? INFPs, they do crave that kind of heartfelt, specific reassurance, right? They want it to mean something to them. They don't want just a generic pickup line. They don't want somebody just to be glazing them for absolutely no reason. They want somebody who actually feels like they know them a little bit and has a little bit of a deeper meaning. They don't want someone who's too shallow or superficial. They're going to be kind of paranoid of that. They want something that's a little deeper, a real reassurance, real advice, real wisdom, real thoughts of encouragement, some kind of deeper respect that means you know who they are and you get who they are. So that's very important for them. And someone who, is able to encourage them when they feel directionless. INFPs, they have that anti-critic function. So sometimes if they're feeling down, they're feeling, stupid, they're feeling like they don't know what to do with their life. Those are some feelings they can have with their lower functions. And so somebody being able to encourage them, help them make those plans, help them figure their ideas out and figure out what they think and they believe, and then being able to help them is another side of it. So both being able to encourage who they are and reaffirm their self-esteem and how they feel about themselves and their identity and their worth, and being able to really connect to their authenticity, but also being able to help them when they're feeling down on themselves. INFPs like to give these things too. They like to give thoughtful messages as well as receive. It kind of works more than a generic shallow compliment that could work for anybody. Something that's very specific, whether it's a letter or a card or a gift, a mixtape, you can get really creative with it. Sticker, you just want to get symbolic. You want to have that deeper meaning. Abstract types, especially INFPs, they're romantic and idealistic. They like feeling like there's these big romantic displays, but not necessarily a crazy big romantic display that's superficial, although they might enjoy those too. But it's more about the meaning behind it, more about the thoughtfulness behind it, the consideration. Buying something that they said they liked 3 months ago, showing them that you remember their favorite color, this or that, their favorite song. It's all about that kind of thoughtful messaging, because they want their inner world to be understood. That's kind of the core of it. At the end of the day, is their introverted feeling, their introverted sensing. All of their introverted functions are a big part of them, of course, being an introverted personality type, and having someone actually be able to then access that internal world with their words and being able to express yourself outwardly and have people communicate that back to them is really important for them. So when it comes to acts of service, there's kind of a specific way INFPs like to both receive and give acts of service. Those kind of small, thoughtful tasks are what really feel like love to INFPs. It's not always about some giant display that's necessarily like in your face, forceful, but it's about little things. They're able to read into those deeper meanings and see when you're making a certain choice. Why did you choose that? Why did you say it like that? What were you thinking when you said it like that? Why did you want to do this? Oh, you did this because you wanted to do this, and that shows your character. They're kind of reading into those deeper things. And they can also enjoy giving acts of service as well, being able to show that little bit of effort, being able to be reliable, show up when you want to do something with them or have some experience, and being able to be there for you, being able to be appreciative and expressive emotionally and not be shut down on that or being argued with or whatever, being able to just express those emotions freely between both of the parties or the friendships or whatever. So yeah, INFPs, they like to be able to express those feelings that are internal to them, even if it's a little hard. They might not always want to come to your face and make some big experience, some big proposal. Sometimes they'll do that, but they prefer those smaller ways of doing it through thoughtful kind of gestures, and they appreciate that energy back to them as well. They also really appreciate that consistent, good decision making, kind of like I said before, from other people with that extroverted intuition, which is kind of paranoid of what other people are going to do. Paranoid, is this person really going to want me in the future? What is this person's intentions? What do they want? Are they coming on too strong? They're kind of paranoid at first. Once you have those shared experiences, though, they appreciate that consistency. They appreciate that somebody is consistently choosing them and reliable, and they can count on that in their future. And they enjoy that peace and stability that comes with that. They enjoy that kind of certainty of feeling like, okay, I know this person's going to want me and choose me, and that they're going to keep putting in that effort time and time again for an act of service. And we have gifts. How do INFPs like to give and receive gifts? Symbolic or personalized gifts, of course, hit the hardest. Something that has symbolism, because they're intuitive and they're a feeler. They really respond positively to any of these love languages, truthfully, because of being such a high introverted feeler, but also when it's symbolic, when it has some deeper meaning, and it has that intuitive side of it as well, being able to give them something that they told you they liked a long time ago, or give you, like I said, a CD with their favorite songs, something that's a little bit deeper. A handwritten note, a memento, right? An inside joke, something that they're really going to pick up on and respond to positively. It's going to show you understand them. It's going to show that deeper connection. And that gift, it should reflect some kind of emotional significance. It shouldn't just be, oh, bam, here's this thing, here's this giant diamond or whatever, unless that specifically is going to reflect something deeper, because they are reading into those deeper intentions, those deeper character traits that are going to make up the relationship, and they are going to read into those very accurately. Those surprises, they do feel magical when they finally feel seen. INFPs, they care a lot with their extroverted intuition. In that fourth slot, it's their insecurity, that they have this identity, they know who they are, they feel like this, they relate to these things, they really understand who they are and what they like and value and they're loyal to. And so when they finally feel seen and they feel like people really understand them, that's when it's really going to hit for them, and that's very important. And I'm not even sure what I'm trying to word here with surprises. I don't even remember. So we're just going to go right past that. I'm not even sure what I was thinking with that one. If you guys are enjoying the video, though, on our website, ontype.ca/INFP guide, I think it is, but if that's incorrect, you can just go on ontype.ca. We have like an INFP guide, INFP explained books that go into all of this and more. So yeah, INFPs, when it comes to physical touch, it's slightly different. They prefer that soft, warm, grounding touch. So they're not necessarily going to need, once again, those big displays of affection. They're not going to need somebody to be constantly wanting them and pursuing them. Although they do like that energy, they like that kind of warm, grounding touch. They're not necessarily going to need intense PDA or some kind of giant display because they're insecure about it. They just want some subtle reaffirmation, right? They just want some subtle cues to let them know that you're wanting to engage with them, but they don't want it right away. They don't want it too quickly. They're going to want to take their time and develop that history, those shared experiences. That emotional bond first is the most important. They're not going to necessarily rush into that physical closeness because they do want it to connect with that, like I said, emotional safety. Touch is kind of a reassurance for them. They appreciate that closeness and that bond. They don't want it to be a big performance for themselves or others. They don't want to feel like they have to try super hard to do all these flashy things and prove themselves, and they don't want you to necessarily feel that way either. They want it to be just kind of a comfort, fun experience and show that emotional closeness, show that emotional bond mixed with that kind of history, and they really appreciate that. So here's some mistakes people make when interacting with an INFP or trying to understand them. Sometimes they're just too logical. They're too dismissive of their feelings. They don't get where they're coming from. They're trying to communicate and they're trying to say, well, what was your thought process here? Why were you thinking that? And they're not reading it right. It's more about what they were feeling. Did they feel bad? Did they feel uncomfortable? Did they feel insecure? What were they feeling? That's going to determine their decision making more than what they were thinking. Rushing intimacy, right? Trying to rush into it, have this big experience, prove your worth, give them a big experience, and pushing that too hard instead of just trying to slowly kind of I was going to say creep your way forward. Probably don't creep your way forward, but slowly kind of understand them, slowly communicate. INFPs like to take it slow. They're a little bit like a tortoise in that way. You don't want to rush it or freak them out and scare them away and get them back into their shell. You want to naturally let them come out of their shell. You don't want to push it too much, push vulnerability, but you want to have that safe space where you're vulnerable, you're sharing, you're initiating, you're asking questions, and you're responding positively, and then they're going to keep coming out more and more. You don't have to be flashy or superficial or feel like you have to be egotistical or brag about yourself or be too confident. Just be yourself, be humble, be real. They're going to appreciate that. And yeah, if you're not noticing that emotional withdrawal, you have to be sensitive to their sensitivities. Are they emotionally available? Are they showing up? Are they texting you every day? Are they doing this? Are they doing that? Or are they withdrawing? Are they ignoring you for long periods of time? That could be other things as well, but you have to be more attuned to their emotional states. Here's the things INFPs need and how they like to express their love languages and how they like to receive them. They like to be able to have that emotional safety first, that non-judgment zone, right? They like to feel like they can express their words of affirmation and people aren't going to necessarily get mad at them, that people will express physical touch in a safe environment and not make them uncomfortable or make them unsafe. So having that kind of safe, non-judgmental zone is very important for INFPs. A space to express, your dreams, your fears, your vulnerabilities. They are NF personality types. They like to have those deep emotional discussions about your emotions, those deeper hidden emotions that people don't always talk about. A partner who cares deeply, who tries, who's real, right? Authentic, somebody who really is emotionally available and emotionally real. And I love that feels sincere. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel, superficial or dramatic. While the young INFPs might enjoy the drama and the emotional stakes and all of that, they want something that feels real, feels sincere, and feels safe for them long term when it comes to what an INFP needs. So this is kind of a general breakdown of an INFP's love languages. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about an INFP love languages and what videos you might want to see next. Please subscribe, turn on that bell to join the OnType team today as I do my finger wagging, and I hope you all have a great day.